Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to the market recap for Thursday, September 24th. I'm Dan Hodgman. As always, thank you for joining us. For those of you that didn't join us yesterday for our webinar, for the Back to Markets webinar, that is up on our YouTube page. I just got it up here just a little bit ago. And so I hope you guys are all been able to join those. If you didn't realize it, you can find those on our website, and you can sign up. Next week will be our last one. And then we'll be back to our regular scheduled market recap. And on Tuesday, I do apologize for not having the recap. I unfortunately had to rush my dog to the vet. You guys have all seen Little Sarge. He's not been feeling well, so he had to get ran into the vet. Fortunately, everything's okay. He seems to be doing all right. We got him on some medication, got some x-rays, and he seems to be back to normal. He is currently snoring right here at my feet. But anyhow, I hope you guys had a good day. It was an interesting day. A lot of these markets are looking to settle basically unchanged. That's kind of where we stand. But there was good opportunity looking at equity markets. They were in these nice little ranges. Really, the only one I'm going to sit here and say there was nothing to do was the yen. And we'll take a look at all these here shortly. So news-wise, no major news. Jerome Powell continues to be up there speaking. The Fed just saying that the Fed's going to do everything they can within their powers to kind of keep things stable. But we all know this is 2020. 2020 is now kind of an adjective for what else can happen, right? We're approaching election season. Speaking of election, the podcast Limit Up just came out today. And myself, Jack, and the dancing bear himself, JD, kind of broke down the elections, talked about what I guess you could say historically has happened, how we approach trading around this time. And so I highly recommend checking that one out. So before I get too far off topic, let's just dive into these charts here in a minute. I just want to say hello to Felix, Charles, Subconscious, Tanya, Nick. Good to see all of you guys. I hope you guys are having a nice week. It's been an interesting week, and I really do think it's going to be interesting for the next month to month and a half or so. Once elections kind of get behind us, maybe we'll see things start to slow down eventually. But again, it's 2020. What else could happen, right? Anyhow, I digress. Let's go ahead and take a look at these charts, see what we got going on here today. Starting with crude oil, which was the big mover of the markets here today. Crude oil kind of opened up a little bit lower. Remember, settlement price, as John said this morning, $39.93. So right here, market opened up lower. Kind of got caught. Really held yesterday's value area low. That continued to kind of be that bottom end of a range here today. And this afternoon, right before we kind of closed things up with crude oil, buyers finally came in, pushed this thing above settlement price. Remember, we said settlement price $39.93. For the first time in a few days, we're going to see this thing settle up above that $40 mark. There's a lot to be considering right now with crude oil, right? We have to keep in mind what's going on in the world. Travel is down. We have to accept that. We are going into a high travel season. Like I was saying the other day, I think it was last week, I mentioned, or maybe earlier this week, I don't remember. Anyhow, we were talking about it and we were saying, look, we have to keep in mind travel season this time, especially for sales, for corporate travel. This is a high time for it. And that stuff's all kind of getting put on hold with everything considered. So crude oil is going to take some work to really accept these higher prices. So for now, manage that risk. Keep our risk tight. We're looking at these range-bound opportunities. That's what's kind of been presenting themselves. Don't think that you're going to get that $2 move on every trade you're executing. So keeping our risk extremely tight, accepting those losses pretty quickly and moving on to that next trade. Can't stress that enough. Next, let's look at the S&P 500, which continues to float just a little bit above settlement price. If we remember, settlement price of 32.31 quarter right here. So the market, what had happened this morning, opened up, was down. And what I liked about this is we are holding yesterday's swing low, overnight swing lows. That was kind of an area to start to pay attention to as this market approached it. Here is our opportunity. We go ahead and say, look, I'm going to take this thing long and see how far I can run this thing. The first thing, how far do we really want to accept this thing? I'm going to sit here and say I'm stopping at settlement price, holding that overnight range. Market finally broke above that and really started to accelerate. Started to hit a wall as we hit some prior consolidation points from previous days here. We started to hit that wall and broke down and returned right back to yesterday's point of control, an area of consolidation, which is I pretty darn close to being a point of control for today's regular session as well. Obviously, that point of control has moved higher up to 37, but nonetheless, great points to kind of keep an eye on this market. And what are we looking for? We always want to be looking for those levels that can create opportunity. So again, first one, breaking inside yesterday and overnight's range. It's a great opportunity to look for a trade. We broke through that. Where do we look for this thing to go? Absolutely. We can start to look at those overnight highs. We can look at prior consolidation. We can look at yesterday's point of control. We can look at settlement price. We had a lot saying that this market wanted to do a little bit more business higher as opposed to going lower. Remember the other day I mentioned look for some unfinished business down in this 32.30 area. I mentioned that one the other day. Has come back into play here. Next, let's go ahead and look at the NASDAQ. If it'll open, here we go. NASDAQ very similar to the S&P 500, and Dow looks the exact same as well. Remember, settlement price 10,829. So settlement price right here. Market opened up below. As soon as this market opened up, what did it look to do? It closed the gap to settlement price and continued higher, coming to yesterday's point of control. Again, NASDAQ is showing to be the strongest of the equity markets right now, holding these points of control a little bit higher. Market came, checked point of control, rejected it really, really quickly, and this market reversed right down towards that overnight range. That overnight range, kind of what we had to look at, was a high right here at 10,800 to a low down here about 10,727. It's kind of an area to keep an eye on, this little range here. Let's just box this out really quick to give us perspective. Oh, come on. Of course, my boxes just don't want to work. Nonetheless. All right, anyhow. Market came back, checked the high side of that range that we were looking at. Now the box shows up. Story of my life. 2020 right here. Market came back towards the high side of that range and just could not break in to the overnight range. Came and checked out. What was it? Settlement price, 10,829. So we broke out above settles, came and checked yesterday's point of control, and came right back to settlement price. 2 points John and I talk about every single day, creating opportunity once again. We don't say these just because they are interesting points. We say these because these points continuously come into play. I feel like almost every recap, I'm pointing out areas to execute at settlement price, points of control, and value area. Great points to keep an eye on. And I'm also, you guys know me, I'm a big fan of those overnight ranges, those overnight highs, those overnight lows. Those are important to me. And so I'm going to constantly keep an eye on those. And again, look for that opportunity. Next, let's go ahead and look at gold. Dollar's up. We think maybe gold's going to break a little bit. Gold, similar to the equity markets, opened up lower. Buyers came in, scooped this thing up, and pushed it right to yesterday's value area. Today, it took a little bit. The overnight had a hard time accepting into yesterday's value area, but once we broke into value area from yesterday today, it created great opportunity. We can get long down here at yesterday's value area low. Where's our target in this market? We can look and say, hey, let's see if we can run this thing all the way up to yesterday's value area high, which happens to be an overnight swing low. Areas to keep an eye on. Again, market's insanely visual. If we're seeing everyone else is seeing it, great opportunity there to take a long to the upside, right? And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for continuous opportunities. And again, settlement price in gold was 1868.40. So we had settlement price right about here today. And so the market opened up lower, closed the gap to settlement, extended higher, went and checked yesterday's value area high, which happens to be today's value area high, and we broke right back down, and this market continues just to kind of walk around settlement price. Lastly, let's go ahead and look at the currencies, and we'll get the heck on out of here. Euro, pretty dead until about lunchtime. Finally, when you saw equities kind of move higher, Euro followed, worked its way towards yesterday's value area low, really did not accept within yesterday's value area, and it started to reject just slightly. Pretty tight day. I got a feeling a lot of people got chopped up down here throughout all day. Finally, the buyers must have had better stops. They held this market up and really continued to accelerate. Obviously, those shorts were getting taken out. And lastly, we'll look at the yen. I'm going to be honest with you, not seeing a whole lot in the yen today. Pretty tight range. Came and checked yesterday's point of control and broke from there. Really, really tight day here. Really hard to find any decent trade, in my opinion. We can sit here and we can honestly count how many ticks were in this trade here today. All right, I see some comments coming in. Let's take a look at those. Oh, Levgeny reached your 5K on the pro account. Outstanding. Super excited to hear that. Hopefully everything goes well with your transition into the premium account. One thing I will say, you've built up a nice cushion here. That's real money. You own that money. Trade it smart. Take it slow. Take it steady and build that account. Information's Pro. Hi, is it possible to trade micros? Absolutely. We have two different options to trade micros. You can trade it within the regular trading combine. I will say this. You fall under the standard contract size. So if you're trading, say, the 150K, the max you can trade in the micros is 15 contracts. It's a tech issue. We're going to see if we can make this work a little bit better so it's leverage there. But you can trade it in the regular trading combine, and you can trade it in. We have the swing trading combine, I believe, in the description below. I have a link to the swing trading combine down there as well. Check that out. Oh, there you go, Tanya. Got my answers. How much is a micros account? Just to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. Let's just take a glance. $110 a month for the micros account. You've got max position, 5 micros, $1,000 profit target, $500 weekly loss limit with a max drawdown of $1,000. Felix, I took that long on gold, but got out too quick. Nice profits. Well, hey, Felix, if we're saying you got out too quick because your plan said to take it higher, then you got out too quick. If you got out where your plan said to get out of that trade, nothing wrong with that. Lock in those profits. Way to go. Charles, I keep getting chopped up trading an overnight early session from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. in equities. Low opportunity. Charles, absolutely. That overnight session, liquidity is thin. Markets have potentials to move, to snap a little bit faster. As you can see, when you just look at the volume doesn't show up until 8:30. I'm a big fan of utilizing overnight levels, but I don't trade those overnight levels. Very rarely am I executing a trade before that 8:30 open. I think, trading the open's a great idea. Any suggestions for early trading? Early trading, so if you're going to trade equity markets, I'd just recommend against it. I really would. A lot of numbers come out at 7:30. If you're going to trade pre-market, if you want to trade that 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. time frame, currencies, they tend to spread out with liquidity a little bit more. Crude oil tends to spread out with liquidity a little bit more. You've got a couple other markets that open up earlier. Gold, treasuries, currencies, those all open up, around that 7:20 mark. I think at the end of the day, if you want to trade equities, wait for the open. If you're looking to trade that 2 to 5 a.m., start to look to currencies. Euro creates opportunity during that time. Yen tends to have bigger moves during the overnight session versus the regular trading hours. But I think currencies are kind of where it's at for the overnight trading. Felix, actually, profits were a little larger than expected, so it was a great trade. especially starting my. Hey, that's what we like to hear, Felix. Locking in those profits. Yeah. If you're looking for bigger, if you want to start looking for that bigger reward in your trades, nothing wrong with that. Execute based off of that. You're going to have to possibly give yourself a little bit more risk to withstand the flow. Excuse me, I have a sneeze sitting on the tip of my nose. Excuse me. Have those specific points where you're looking for that profit target. And if you go back to yesterday's webinar that is up on YouTube, again, John and I talk a lot about trade management. Trade management, that's what's going to help you kind of understand how to stay in those trades a little bit longer. I know we had a lot of questions on that. And so definitely have that predetermined target and be willing to sit in that trade. All right, guys. Thanks for all the questions. As always, any questions you have while we're going, just drop them in there. Happy to answer them. John is as well. If we don't get to them, knock us one, let us know, remind us, and we'll take a look at it. All right, as always, we're going to take a look at Tesla stock. Finally caught a little bit of life here today. Yesterday took a big hit, but still down. We're at $387 per share. VIX all over the place still. Opened up at 30, came down to 28.5, and now we're going to end the day at 29.5. Volatility expected to be high, right? 100% expected. Going into elections, volatility is going to be there. Be cautious, be hesitant, be patient. Wait for those little risk, big reward. The trades are going to be there. Don't feel like you have to make every trade that presents itself. Find those bigger opportunity trades, manage that risk, keep those stops tight, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity. The last thing I want to see is someone lose their account over the next couple days, waiting, expecting that they have to have it now. It's going to be there. We've got a fun month and a half ahead of us, and I got a feeling it's going to continue after that. So this is 2020. It's the year of volatility. But anyhow, the VIX is up. Things to look for tomorrow. Economic calendar here. Nothing interesting tomorrow to keep an eye on. And then again, as far as the news, not a whole lot. Stimulus package continues to be the conversation. They are trying to get something through. So we got that. We got a question here. What level do we start receiving coaching calls? Well, if you want performance coaching, it's on our website. Right up at the top, I think you hit the drop about button. There's a section in there that says performance coaching. If you select that, you can scroll to the bottom. There is a weekly class. And then as far as calls, there's a personal performance coaching package that you can sign up for. And in the funded account, you do have access to the risk manager. It's not going to be full-time coaching, but he is there to help out. I am also one of the risk managers, so I work with a lot of the funded traders. Welcome to call us as a funded trader, but definitely if you're looking for some sort of more personal coaching, check out the weekly group coachings. Those are every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time with John. You can ask a million questions there. You can ask him about more personal stuff there. All right, so those are our news here today. As always, we're going to end the day with this date in history. And the first one I think is pretty interesting just because we have the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which has created some tensions politically for her replacement. But in this date in history, 1789, the first ever Supreme Court was established in the United States. So that's kind of cool. And then I had one other one. In 1948, the Honda Motor Company was incorporated. All right, guys, that's what I got for us here today. As always, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Central Time for the market forecast. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, trade well, trade smart, and I'll see you guys in the markets. Take care.